The fabled 21st century classroom. When I was in college, I was always hearing about this mythical 21st century classroom. It was going to incorporate technology. We were going to have students engaged like never before, solve all the problems because technology. Yeah. Nobody could really define what it was. Nobody really had a real clear vision of how to get there or how to do it, but we just knew that soon we were going to be in this new place called the 21st century classroom. And everything was going to be great. The reality, it's a mixed bag. It's a wide spectrum. You know, we have some classrooms, we have some schools where kids are getting exposed to technology. They're using it. They're not falling behind. There are still schools where students are being lectured to, disengaged. Wasn't a part of that 21st century amazing, everything was going to be great vision that we had. A real 21st century classroom, as we envisioned it, looks very different than what we have. We still haven't lived into that vision. And so truly differentiating our classes with technology, it hasn't really happened yet. I'm trying to differentiate what is happening in my classroom, but it's a lot easier in my classroom because it's maker ed. It's learning through creation and learning about creativity. But we need to do it once before we can do it again and again and again. Technology makes it possible that I could have 25 students go in 25 different directions, and I could manage that as a teacher because this student could hear this little video segment of me, and this student could be reading from this resource, and this student could be following that tutorial, and those things are all available all at the same time in my classroom. That was not possible in the 19th century, in the 20th century, but the 21st century classroom, that is possible. We can teach students how to use the tools of a 21st century classroom. We can teach them how to Google and not just try to find the shortest way to the answer, but how to actually use the internet to grow their knowledge and to become more curious, to gain all sorts of skills and find things that they just didn't realize were out there. The internet is available for that. We could be teaching kids how to do it, but we're just not. We have cheap devices. We have cloud tools. You know, my students using these cheap Chromebooks are on Tinkercad and they're 3D modeling, they're 3D designing. They get the file to me and then we go to the 3D printer. It isn't that difficult. The story of the 21st century classroom is one of missed opportunity, untapped potential. What I would love to do in this classroom and through puzzleshiftcreate.com is to show, hey, here is what it looks like to give a kid all of the resources they need to follow their own curiosity, work into their own creative identity. We could be doing this. We could be talking in these terms all the time. We could be teaching our students that YouTube is probably the best resource that's ever been made for learning new things and learning things you don't know how to do. But instead, we're walling it off and treating it like it's the forbidden fruit. And so kids will find their own way to YouTube. They'll click on the most clickbaity kid stuff that, as a parent, I'd be abhorred to have my students, my kid watching. And then the YouTube algorithm just feeds them more and more and more of that same garbage. We could be teaching our kids, hey, let's follow some creators. Hey, let's find some people who are really cool and we really like, so that YouTube shows you more of that cool stuff. You love drawing? Cool, let's follow this creator and this creator. And did you know this person's painting using this? And it's a great resource, but we just don't show them how to use it. We have the ability to make portfolios online with our students where they could show authentic work, the traditional methods where students turn in something on paper and it's forgotten. My own students were experimenting with different ways to turn all of their learning for a quarter into a blog post that they can keep in a private way, and then later on, as they get older, they could turn that into a portfolio of their authentic work that they could show to a college or a recruiter or whatever to show what unique, awesome stuff they've been doing. The 21st century classroom could be teaching digital leadership to our students, not just anti-bullying online, but digital leadership. How do you lead in positivity? How do you lead in curating awesome stuff, sharing that awesome stuff, being someone who's creating spaces online that are welcoming and not horrible, but instead we let the kids discover all of this for themselves, fend for themselves. In here, I want to create what was supposed to be the 21st century classroom. I can see it coming along. I know the plans and I know the systems that I'm getting set up. And I think in a couple of years, we'll have solved some of these problems and will be doing some of these things well. But by and large, if you look out in the world, the 21st century classroom just never arrived. One of my favorite quotes is that a problem well defined is half solved. And if we can well define what's happening with technology in our classrooms, and more importantly, what's not happening with technology in our classrooms, we're halfway to solving that problem. How in the next video, I want to imagine what the 22nd century classroom might be like. It's been a real process to make these videos, to think through what I want to say and what it is that is important and what's worth keeping and what is possible, that I don't really care that they're not being watched. I know I'm onto something, and I know that what I'm building in this classroom is what we should have already had and what should be everywhere but is nowhere. But if I can put it in this classroom, it can be somewhere. It can be here, and then I can share what happened, how it works, where it's going, and make all of that available to other teachers so that we can have a true 21st century classroom in one place, maybe then in 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 10 places. It's got to start somewhere. The video I've wanted to make for so long, this is it. Everything I've been doing has been leading up to this video, and I'm so excited to share a vision for the 22nd century classroom.